Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. How we all doing today? Today we are going to be working on a speed build. This is a student housing complex. It is technically a rental, so you can rent the bedrooms, and then the common rooms and everything are shared spaces for the whole building. That is what we're going to be doing today. I will show you guys at the end of the video what the entire build looks like in a walkthrough, but let's go ahead and jump into the speed build. So here we are in our speed build. I built this lot in the town area of Brightchester, so it is not in the Brightchester side or the Foxbury side. It is kind of in the neutral zone, and I was really trying to match the vibes of the other buildings around here. So I ended up doing 3 stories above ground and then a basement as well, and we tried to make the roofing match the roofing around also. So we end up with a patio area. At some point I actually take this house and completely flip it backwards. So I started off trying to do curved roof on this part. We end up getting rid of that and making that into a balcony instead. I will say this roof was a little tricky to figure out, but we did end up getting the, half wall part with the little bump up like you see on the buildings around it. So we did do that, but it definitely took some time trying to figure everything out. I couldn't get the roof shape exactly like the brick building right behind us. I was trying to have it so it was kind of more pointy and then, rounded off at the edge. It ended up just looking like a barn, so I ended up changing that as well and just doing a rounded roof at the top. But this is still me trying to figure out that, angle of roof that we can see right behind us there. It didn't work out for the best. So we ended up, kind of deleting the whole thing and going with a different vibe. I also added a fireplace along the one side because a lot of the buildings around here they actually mostly have fireplaces on both sides. But I wanted to have a basement entrance on the other side, so we did not add it to the opposite side. I duplicated the half walls onto the other half of the building, and then here is where we decided to just make it into a balcony. This is where I finally flipped the building. I do change where the fireplace is, so we do switch the chimney over to the other side. And then we started to do some basement bump outs. So this is where the stairs to the basement entrance are going to be. I had to kind of figure out how to do it because I haven't built a basement in a while, and we also did window wells. So in order for these to work, you have to build a room in the basement that kind of sticks out. You can put windows in it, and then it can get a little bit of natural light just from, having the outside light above it. It makes the basement a little more homey, and I didn't feel bad putting bedrooms in the basement with the window wells because at least there's some natural light there. Next was to figure out the windows and doors. I did end up going with Strangerville. I liked the red to begin with because my first initial inspiration was to do red brick for the building. I ended up not figuring that out, so we did end up going with gray brick, but I wanted to do the red doors, red windows, and red brick. We ended up changing it to be blue a little bit later on, so we ended up with a blue and gray instead of a red and white kind of theme. But I really like these windows. They're very pretty. The shutters are pretty. The windows look a little bit elegant. And so that's what we ended up doing there. And here are those window wells in the basement that I was telling you about. They let in a little bit of natural light, which is kind of nice. So we do have that back patio as well that I just added a door to. And now we're trying to figure out the red brick. I ended up just not liking any of them, so we end up going with gray in the end. Also for this build, there are 6 bedrooms, each, with a different sim in mind. I tried to really personalize them, but this ended up being about 6 hours of footage for this build. So I am actually not going to show any of the bedrooms in the speed build. I am going to do a little mini speed build series over on my TikTok of those 6 bedrooms. So if you do want to check that out, definitely head over there. But I will give you guys a tour of this whole place finished at the end so you can still see what those bedrooms looked like. Here is where we finally switch over to the blue theme instead. I only paid half of it for a minute, but we end up going with the blue windows and doors and the gray brick instead. We also end up making the first floor into more of like a stucco, like some of the buildings across the street are. I tried to put columns on the corners, which normally makes houses look better. I could not figure it out with this house. This house did not want columns on it. I think it's because of the half wall pieces at the top, because the columns didn't go all the way to the top of the half wall. So it just like cut off randomly, which was kind of awkward. So I think that's how that turned out. We're just putting windows on the back now, just the same pattern as the front. There are no windows on the side except for in the basement well, but I think that turned out okay. So now we are just fencing in the yard. I did not end up doing a full fence because of course there wasn't really a gate that matched, because of course there wouldn't be, but we did end up doing a fence. I actually ended up kind of separating it into two separate areas in the backyard, which we'll see a little bit later. We got some of these pavers in from, I believe, for rent. These are really pretty though. I like how they look. I like that the grass kind of shows through. Looks a little more like a paver than like a solid chunk of concrete. And we did end up using that for a patio back here as well, but we end up doing the patio in the back half of the yard. I do end up fencing that off later and making it two separate areas. I just feel like Brightchester just screams ivy, so we had to add some ivy around as well. I did raise some of it up, which, you know, is a little bit annoying in gameplay because it shows up when you're on the second floor. It still like hovers there even with walls down, but it's fine. It looks pretty from the outside. We also added in some planter boxes out front. I kept the landscaping really simple on this. We just have a few different plants. I sized the middle one up using the tool mod just to kind of, you know, make it a little bit different. This is the point where I realized I made this place way too big. It was a little wider than I anticipated. I was hoping it'd be a little tinier, a little cozier, a little tighter space. It's not. So this is when I kind of started to panic that I might have screwed up this build because I did so many things before even checking how big it was. Normally I do my double bed check pretty quickly to like kind of get a visual of how big the space is. In this build, I did not. And then once I put a double bed in, I was like, oh, this build is absolutely giant. We ended up actually having a lot more common area than bedroom area. I wanted each bedroom to just be their bed, right? Because they have a common kitchen, a common bathroom. I ended up making it work. I ended up liking how it turned out, but we have a lot of area in the hallways that we kind of just made little social gathering areas, and I think it ended up working out okay. We do have some kind of weird shaped bedrooms, but you know, it's fine. It still works. For this one in the basement, this is where the two boys live. We have a gamer boy and a sports boy. Those are the only two aesthetics I know for men, so that's what we got. And those little weird bump outs, I end up putting closets in there, so I feel like that ended up working out okay. This second floor is where my sim is actually going to live. We are going to move our sim in from our legacy challenge in here to live with her cousin throughout their college years. And we actually ended up making this a little reading nook out front. So that little space that's in the hallway, it's a nice little library with some seating and a bookshelf. It ends up being really pretty. I also made that bathroom be a Jack and Jill bathroom instead of a hall bathroom. So I am going to show you guys a couple of the bathrooms furnished. This is the vibe we went with for them. The black and white tile. We got curtains in them if they have a window. This is the biggest bathroom. This is the one on the main floor. So all 4 floors have a full bath. I didn't really make the bathrooms big enough to fit stalls or like university showers. So they're more like residential looking bathrooms, but I think they work out. So that was the main floor one. This is the Jack and Jill bath that my sim is going to be sharing with her cousin. So we kind of personalized it a little bit more than the main floor one. My whole vibe with all of the shared spaces was that they were going to be very blah. So, you know, the idea being that a landlord bought this place, redid it, furnished it for college kids to come live here. So I made everything very neutral, very tan, and then all of the personality is kind of in the individual bedrooms, and you know, they have little pockets of personality throughout the rest of the build in some common areas. I actually did the bedrooms first, which like I said will be a little speed build series on my TikTok if you want to check that out, and then we moved on to the living areas. So I ended up doing this big island, and these counters didn't necessarily work for it, so we went through some iterations with them, but I think what we ended up with definitely works. But I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, so we ended up doing some end piece placement. We also ended up putting this shelf over the island, which I haven't actually found a use for yet, so I was very excited for that. So here we're trying to figure out that island, making that gap not be there. It clips a little bit, but it is white, so you can't see the visual glitching too much. We're just adding in our appliances. I used a lot of the Home Chef Hustle stuff in this kitchen just because I really like it. And it's not a kitchen that requires the corner piece, so That helped a lot because I don't like the corner piece from these counters. I also went with some like kind of almost gross tile, but I think it fits the vibe. We end up doing it on the floor as well, and I don't know, I like how it turned out. We just added some floor trim and some columns to kind of separate the living room from the kitchen there. Moving into the living and dining space, I just put some rugs down just to make sure my spacing was good everywhere. And then we finally went in with some furniture. So we have this big dining table here that can fit all the Sims. There are 6 apartments here. I was gonna do the end chairs, but they didn't really fit on the rug, so we didn't. We just added a chandelier over it and called it a day there. Then we went back to the kitchen because I realized I didn't clutter anything, and you need clutter in a kitchen. So we just did spice racks, some cooking spoons. We went for a lot of bronzy gold touches in this kitchen, which I think ended up working out okay. I did cut out some of this because there was a lot of trial and error with figuring out where these island pieces went back to and, you know, trying to make everything fit back where it was after adding the clutter in. So back into the living room now. This ends up being a pretty nice living room for the area. It's very beige, very neutral, which was my intention, but we end up with a couch, a love seat, and 2 chairs. One chair's kind of out and one chair's kind of put away, like maybe we're not using it right now. We have a nice coffee table with some clutter on it, and I ended up going with a big bookshelf on the left side. So again, I didn't want to put any personal things really in the living room. Normally this area where I put the bookshelf would be where I'd put a coat rack or, you know, stuff like that. But people are not, you know, dropping their things off in this living room. They're going up to their rooms to drop it off. So we just made a living room that was, you know, more of a common area, and we cluttered the crap out of this bookshelf. So I left a lot of that in just so you could see how tedious this process is, using my little cube shelf to move things around, using move objects on to raise things up and shift them. But I really like how this shelf ended up turning out, especially, you know, after we got rid of all of the random plants around to hold up all the spaces. Lastly, we just added a bulletin board, like, you know, some sort of community board saying like, this is what we have going on in the building this week. Maybe they have events, maybe they have a movie night planned. All of those kind of things would be on that bulletin board. And lastly, I wanted something on this wall, so I put 2 matching mirrors. I thought it looked kind of interesting, kind of old school. Back out to the yard. Again, we're focused on the common areas in this speed build. And out here we have a grill, we have a picnic table. You can see I put another fence in there just to kind of separate the 2 sides from each other. On the other side, we have a fire pit and a woohoo/pea bush. We're just doing some landscaping there. I do add another little tree in that corner just to add a little bit more shade. And we, of course, use the university chairs for our fire pit as well. Now we are moving up to the balcony. So up here we ended up with a hot tub, we ended up with a games table, and we ended up with a telescope. I originally was just gonna put like a logic table, a chess table up here, but I thought this would be more of like a party deck, and in the basement we end up putting the chess table. So now we're moving down into the reading nook. So this is on the 2nd floor between my Sim's bedroom and her cousin's bedroom. And again, I cluttered the heck out of this bookshelf with a bunch of different clutter, and we end up going kind of a pinky pretty vibe in here. So we add a couple chairs, we end up putting half walls up to kind of separate the area, kind of define it. And then we add a coffee table, and I put some little coffee mugs on it like it was a place they could hang out and study or read their books. Honestly, I want to read a book in this little nook. Throughout the speed build, you will also see, you know, bits and pieces of the bedrooms, but we will look at all of them again in the walkthrough as well. We also have a little art area over here. I was just trying to fit in all of the skill building areas that I could in these big hallways that we now have. And here is a chess area. My Sim that I'm playing with in this house is actually paranoid, so she loves hanging out in basements. And if I had thought ahead, I would have just made her room a basement bedroom, but I didn't. So I made sure there were areas in the basement that she could hang out. She needs to work on her logic and her charisma. So I put a mirror down here. I put the chess table down here so she can hang out down here and do her work. I also made sure to put a research archive machine. That's always beneficial for university housing, and it's very expensive, so having it in a common area definitely kind of helps out. The last thing we're going to do outside here is add our mailbox in, and we're going to add some lighting around. I did go in with the toddler stuff, string lights. We put those around the patio and up here on the balcony as well. I really love how they turned out, even though we had to go kind of different sizes with them all. I think it ended up working out. That's going to do it for the speed build, so let's go ahead and jump into the tour of this house. All right, so here we are in game. This is the Honeydew Fields lot. So this is the right side of the main area. There's the one on the left side over here as well. I think it would fit on either lot pretty well, but I like how it blends into the area. It's a different brick color, but I don't think that's a huge deal. This is what the outside of the build looks like. I really like how it turned out. When we come over to the side here, we can see we have our little cookout area. There is a keg too for your keg parties. Then we have our little barbecue picnic area here. This is the entrance down to the basement, but we're gonna go through the main doors. Going inside the main part of the house, here is how the kitchen turned out. Very beige, but I do enjoy it. Over here we have our living room with our very cluttered bookshelf. This is again the frame TV, so this is a functional TV here. And we have our little dining area. There's also a bathroom on this floor as well. If we go downstairs, we can see that we have a little chess table area over here. And on this side, we have kind of a little hangout area and our research archive machine. This is the first of the bedrooms. This is our sporty boys bedroom here. Over on the other side, we have our gamer boys bedroom. And like I said, they both have a actual closet and they have a bathroom out in the hallway of their floor. If we go up to the second floor, here we have what was going to be my Sims bedroom. So I love this little vanity, how that turned out. Oh my goodness, I love it. But she has very pink lemonade energy in her bedroom here. She has a Jack and Jill bathroom with the other Sim here, which is her cousin in my game. So here's the very blue bedroom here for her. And outside in this hallway, we have our little art area. We have that little reading nook area. I love how this turned out. It looks so cozy. Then we can head upstairs one more time. We have this very pink girly bedroom here. Every room has a desk and a computer, which I thought was realistic for college. And all the rooms that don't have the Jack and Jill bath have some sort of storage area for their like bathroom stuff, which also I think is pretty accurate for a dorm room. And our last bedroom is kind of a goth bedroom. I did a lot of the Crystal Creation stuff in here along with the paranormal stuff. I think this one turned out really cool also. There is of course a bathroom on this floor as well, and this floor has access to that patio with the hot tub, the game table, and the telescope. If we go into night mode as well, just wanted to show you guys all my lights. I think it turned out very cute. So like I said, we have those little string lights on the patio and in the balcony, and then we have a very well lit area downstairs as well. So that is the whole build. All right, well that's gonna do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this speed build. This is up on my gallery both as just a residential lot and as a rental lot, so definitely check that out if you're interested. I think it would work well for either type of gameplay that you want to do. I know some people like to control their roommates. I do not like to control my roommates, so I'm playing with it as a rental. But I hope you enjoyed this house. I really like how it turned out, and again, if you want to see how I did the bedrooms, definitely check out the speed builds over on my TikTok as well. That's gonna do it for today, my friends. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.